Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to plan budget for Google Ads campaigns. Whether you are a small business owner, maybe a marketer, or a Google Ads person who is just starting with everything, I will show you the exact steps to follow so you can schedule your budget based on your KPIs and your current performance. Let me show you how. Let's pick a brand as an example. Here you can see the steps, we'll follow each of them. So let's start with the brand. Let's jump to Amazon and let's see what is selling well recently. We need something what is like a more generic product, not something which relies heavily on branding like games. Yeah, that would be a little too generic. Oral B, it's like a huge brand. We need something more niche. Okay, that one looks decent. Contigo, portable Max. All right, that's looking like a perfect example to us. Contigo, they've been running some ads as well. Let's just see the website. Yeah, the website is looking good. Now, what else you can do here? If you have a brand new website, brand new customer, you just want to see how they've been doing recently, you can jump to SEMrush, and for free you can check a few websites like we're gonna do right now. Just make sure the market is correct. They are getting the organic traffic, quite a decent amount as well. So perfect. Branded paid not needed. We just want to see organically how they've been doing. You can see lately since mid of 2024 they've been growing pretty quickly. So in theory, that's a perfect brand to do that. All right, so let's jump into it. What is the market opportunity? That's the first question we need to answer. And to do that, we need to jump to our Google Ads account. Hopefully, here you already should have access to your customer ad account because historic data in the account is super helpful as well. Once we are in our Google Ads account, we go to Tools, Planning, Keyword Planner. In Keyword Planner, you can type keywords that you believe will be the best for your brand. So let's just change the market. Yeah, you guys as well, make sure that you pick the right market. Now, following common sense, as we mentioned before, we are doing research for Contigo, so portable Max. That will be the first keyword. You can also just use their website. However, these suggestions are a little more generic, so I prefer to do it manually. Portable Max. What else could that be? Pom 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 pom. Let me think a little. Cannot find the inspiration as I was struggling now. We can just go to incognito mode and type portable Max. Now we're gonna see all the ads. Original coffee mug, chilies, competitor personalized. Okay, none of this. Travel mug. All right, that's a good one. Let's do it then. Travel mug. Okay, now. Oh, sorry, I didn't share. I didn't share the tab. Okay, so you can see here we got competitors, and you can see what keywords they use to advertise their products. So yeah, travel mug, that's the one we've just used. Insulated travel mugs, all right. Reusable travel mugs, it's kind of the same travel mug. Just scroll to the bottom, you can see portable mugs, that's what we used already. Okay, so portable mugs and travel mugs, those two are the best. So let me just switch again. So you got those two keywords, the primary ones. Obviously, there will be more, but these two should be the biggest ones. Okay, travel mug actually is much bigger. Yeti coffee mug, Stanley Cup, some branded competitors keywords as well. Okay, but that's the first step. Now, let's take that list and filter it out a little. We want to focus, as you can see here, we got around 3,000 keywords. Some of them irrelevant. Probably we don't want to include competitor keywords at this point. We want to see what the market is like, what's the market opportunity, and that keyword will be probably the primary one to focus on. So from this point, find your keywords, pick your market, choose the date range. I mean, that one is not that important because we are going to export keywords into a Google Sheets anyway, and we're gonna filter them out to the ones that we want. Okay, so once the list is exported, you guys are going to see that kind of spreadsheet. Little confusing, so let's clean it a little. Those first two rows are not needed, just delete them. Now, the key, not the key, but a super interesting thing to see here is the search volume within that 12 or whatever time period you've chosen. Now, if you just format those numbers to numbers, and let's just keep everything to the left, you can see that some of our keywords such as travel mag, which will be the primary one probably, you can see what the seasonality is from November 2024 up until October 2025, so 12 months. Now if we did it this way, let's take maybe these ones and these ones, you can quickly see what the seasonality is. All right, it didn't format properly because the top line is not working. So let me try again. Let me do it this way. Pick, insert. I mean, then you can insert it into some sort of a presentation. Okay, now it's working fine. So we can fine, more or less fine, right? You can do it better if you formatted those names as well. Probably can have easily months right here, and then time period, the search volume per month here. In that case, I would go even more backwards in the past to see if that seasonality happens in every November again. So we looked at SEMrush, we know that the brand is growing overall, but the brand, sorry, and now we're looking at the overall market trend. So we started from November, then December. Obviously, here we have Black Friday, and that's Q4 in general. So we expect to see a peak here. Then we got Christmas, so totally makes sense. Then probably around January, February, March, April. The middle of the year is pretty poor, and then it started increasing again, coming towards Q4. So pretty standard seasonality. However, you can tell that it more than doubles for the Q4 for November and December. December is like total peak. So inform yourself or the marketing manager or whoever you work with about that, and I'm pretty sure that person will be grateful. So, okay, now what we are after, and that's the average monthly searches. Everything else could be removed. You can see what's the difference last 3 months. Obviously, that's a little bit more seasonal, so I would rather look at year-on-year change. So you can see it's 18% down. However, you can see that some competitors could have taken that generic market demand for themselves, converting instead of, even though they're looking for the same product, instead of looking for a generic keyword such as travel mug, they go straight for Yeti coffee mug, or I mean, that one is relatively low volume, but that one is Yeti again. Okay, I don't know what that brand is, but it is getting some serious market share. Okay, so now you can use this one, but right now our focus is on getting the cost. So I will just remove everything else. I just wanted to show you guys how it's done. And now you can see travel mag, maybe portable mags. So I would take those two. And I am looking for the big keywords, more generic ones. Okay, the formatting here is a little messed. So let's do number, format everything to the right number. I remove the zeros just to make it easier for myself. And then from the biggest to the lowest, and let's remove zeros and remove blanks. Okay, so now we can see what keywords are driving the most searches. So Google is now smart enough to pick up those small variations, and obviously it's just like a fundamental setup, and then Google is going to find more keywords for us anyways. But yeah, we just need a generic idea of how far we can go. So Stanley, Yeti, reusable coffee cup. All right, that could be something we can go after as well. Best travel coffee mug as well. Okay, travel mug. It's kind of a variation of the main keyword anyway. Go travel max top rated Ninja Contigo. That's the brand we are. By the way, I'm not linked to Contigo in any way. I literally found them on Amazon. That's why we are using them. Nothing else. Okay, but you can see there are a few brands. Yeti, Costa, Stanley, obviously, and maybe Thermal Cup. Is Contigo Thermal? I don't know, but maybe that will be the keyword to go after as well. But all right. These two, travel, reusable, and there was one more. Travel. No, the other ones are branded. Ceramic, don't think so. Mag Thermal. I have to double check if the brand is. If Contigo is thermal, but if they do thermal cups, we could go after these ones as well. Yeah, the smaller ones. Okay. Anyway, let's take them as well. Insulated coffee mug, thermal mug as well. Ceramic will not go that far. Insulated cups, travel mug with lid as well. Okay, and for me, this would be the primary keywords. Now let me just get the green ones at the top. And now, that one is a variation of the primary keyword, so it can be removed as well. Okay, now more or less we can see what is the average monthly search volume. Now, that's the first thing. So we kind of know already what the market is like, what is the search volume. If we compared it to another market, which could be shoes or whatever, you can see probably hundreds of thousands here, right? So it's only a reference point. However, it gives us an idea of what we can expect. And now we have a cost here of what I believe these are in USD, in dollars, American dollars. So let's format it this way. Now you can tell also how much brands are paying for those clicks. So it's top 3 positions in Google. Yeah, so that's what we are seeing right here. Now you can see the low range, so top 3 at the bottom, and top of page bid, high range, so at the top. So the price per click for those positions is from 0.43 up to $130. So we can get an average of those. We can tell what the search volume is, and we'll multiply numbers and get the average cost and search volume for those. So let's jump to the next step. Us back to our main spreadsheet where we have our steps. What's the market opportunity? I create a new tab here. So we have our primary keywords, and now we have the monthly average monthly search volume. So now let's get total numbers. So yeah, some of those, an average of those, and an average of those. Okay, so now we know that the average monthly searches are worth around, there are around 32K. However, again, that seasonality aspect would be definitely worth mentioning here as well. As we saw, the product is highly seasonal. Not all products are that seasonal. December being like 3 times higher compared to middle months like April, May, it's not that usual. So now we know that average monthly searches 32K. We know what's the average cost of the top 3 positions but lower, and top 3 positions but a little higher with more aggressive bidding. So now we can, if we have average click-through rate, we can tell based on his account historic data, we can tell how many clicks we can get out of those. However, in that case, I don't have access to the ad account, so let's take this number out of the blue. Could be like an average for e-commerce store. So let me quickly type. Would be probably I close some spreadsheet. It could be like I don't know 5-10% average click-through rate for Google Ads. Between 2 and 6.5. So let's do 4%. So if we converted those impressions into clicks, that would be that number times 0.0. Let's do 5%. That will be the number of clicks. And that now, if we multiply number of clicks by those, that's more or less the cost for these clicks. So if we were to get 1600 clicks, because we are assuming 5% click-through rate, but again, that's our assumption, that would be the cost to get those clicks. So probably the truth would be somewhere in between. Yeah. So only to get some positions for the primary keywords that we picked. Actually, that's super low budget. So you can expand the list of keywords quite a lot. Yeah. So that's how you can get the idea of how much you can spend, how many clicks you can get. If you have access to the account and account has been used for a while, you can tell customer a little more accurate story because you know exactly what the click-through rate is. And yeah, again, get the keywords, get the data from these keywords, and you can estimate how much roughly you are going to pay for those clicks. Now there is another aspect which is also in our spreadsheet, and that aspect is branded traffic. Much cheaper, however, I suggest to protect your branded keywords as well. I know some people say it's our traffic, people will come to us anyway. However, if you see 4 ads at the top, 3-4 ads, shopping ads, and then search ads, and then maybe you pop up organically, if you have good positioning, I wouldn't just leave it to competitors. I would at least put a manual bid, low bid, to make it expensive for competitors to get there. Yeah, anyway, little bit more technical. However, now let's jump into branded traffic. Okay, guys, so now we do the same thing for branded keywords, which is for our brand, an example, Contigo. That's the biggest one, right? Contigo to go mag. All right. So you can see there are a couple of variations. However, you can see that they have more products than I thought, and some of them are trending recently: thermos, tumbler, coffee mug, drinking bottle. And when we go to their website, there is actually the product offer is much wider. So the initial phase that I did only for a few keywords wasn't very accurate. The keywords list should be expanded significantly. But now let's focus on the branded keywords. So again, the same story. We start with the keyword or the website. We pick the market, date range, and now we export the list into a spreadsheet. So you can see I've already done part of the job here. I've chosen a couple of keywords, not all of them, because I want to keep this video relatively short. We can see year-on-year change. The generic keyword such as Contigo lost some impressions. However, you can see another product, Contigo Coffee Mug, gained quite a lot. So overall, I believe the brand is rather not growing. However, we saw organic traffic growing, so it would be worth looking into monthly data to tell if it's what's the true picture, because SEMrush we saw traffic should be up. Keyword Planner says that the branded keywords are not growing. However, in SEMrush we saw overall traffic, so it could be from general keywords like travel mags, etc. Here we are only looking at people who know our brand. So it could be that we're investing 50K a month into awareness campaigns, and this year we are only investing 40K. Maybe that's why we are getting less impressions and further less brand awareness. So yeah, something worth mentioning to the marketing manager or whoever makes the decisions. Okay, now we do the same thing. We take those keywords with their search volume and we jump to our budget planning spreadsheet. Let's keep everything in one place to keep it, the year on year change. Let's get rid of it and let's have everything like before. So these are the generic keywords, and here we're gonna have the branded ones, brand keywords, and let's maybe make it a different color as well, maybe blue. Okay, and that's it. We follow exactly the same path. So we do the total, we sum it up. Again, it's only a shorter version of how it should be done. But when you do it, make sure that you go through all the keywords, all the branded, all the generic ones, because that's the traffic you will be optimized towards. Yeah, following common sense, these are the keywords to start with. However, later on, Google is going to expand them for us. Here, for the branded traffic, the click-through rate will be much higher. I would say like 35%. So, or even more than that, honestly. But yeah, let's be pretty negative. And as you can see, the cost of that traffic is way lower. Just a little mention here. For the branded traffic, our website, if we were a Contigo brand, is way more relevant. Relevancy decides on the ad rank, and ad rank is the auction / bidding factor. So it decides how much you pay per click. If you were to stick with the same budget, but you would have to get a better result, you would have to improve the relevancy, then the quality score, and that ultimately would improve ad rank, which would get you high quality clicks at a lower cost. So yeah, just to summarize, branded keywords are much cheaper for us because we are the most relevant brand. For the generic keywords, if somebody's domain has a better user experience, or maybe people navigate through it further due to any reason, maybe awareness or whatever, better product offer, better prices, Google is going to give them those clicks a little cheaper. Okay, anyway, now let's take an average of those two and look at the difference. So let me just make the numbers a little simpler, easier to read. Now you can see 1,600 clicks at an average cost of $1,400. Here, more than double clicks, and the cost is actually lower. So yeah, that's the magic of branded traffic. I would suggest to keep those two separated once you create your campaign. Otherwise, we call these warm audiences because people know our brand already from somewhere. These are generating new customers. So here the cost would be for new customer acquisition. Here it would be for kind of remarketing. Okay, let's jump to the next step, which is how competitive is it? So we actually covered that as well because we included the cost. So with the search volume goes the cost. And we know how competitive the market is. Some markets, especially in the US, the CPCs are way higher. So that market is relatively inexpensive, not that expensive at least. What other brands do? Okay, so now it's about the offer. So let's find our competitors and let's see what they do before we start running campaigns. Number 3. What other brands do? Is our offer competitive enough? How can we stand out? Titles, images, prices, promotions. Anything to make us stand out. So we know what our brand is, Contigo UK. We know what we sell. We know what our primary keywords are, such as travel mark, right? So now let's jump to the incognito mode and let's find out what other brands do. You can see Yeti. We saw this brand while we were doing the research, so we know it's a decent brand. However, already from here, you can tell what is the industry average in terms of creatives, what they do. You can see there are not many lifestyle images. It's pretty much product picture with a white background. Not many discounts right now. I mean, it's early December when I record this video, so maybe brands are waiting for later this month to launch proper promotions. However, you can tell 1, 2, 3, 4, not many, 4 out of I don't know how many, 40 product listings have lifestyle images. Not many of them have sale images. So now, I'm not saying that's the best practice. However, something to test would be to differentiate ourselves from these other product listings, because for shopping ads, which for e-commerce store generate majority of traffic most of the time, it's a simple thing to make yourself stand out. Now, another element to look at is obviously prices. Let's make sure that we are Prada. Okay, that's not the best example. Stanley, a premium brand, as far as I am aware, around £33, where Chili's is 18. So now we need to align with the strategy. You wouldn't probably decide on that. However, you can tell how premium or not, whether we are trying to compete based on value or whether we try to compete based on pricing. And then you know who your direct competitors are. If we were to compete based on pricing, I would probably try to investigate more brands such as Chili's right now. It seems like they are the cheapest ones. We can see a few more brands that I am not really familiar with. However, we can see what they use for their titles. Joseph Travel Mac. Joseph. Okay, that's the branded keyword. So Yeti Rambler 10OZ 295 millimeters tumbler. So that's what we are looking for. Keywords, what sizes they have, prices, and that's how we compete with them. Now we want to see a few more sponsored listings. Okay, so we got Chili's. Let's see what they do. Let's see what that's an organic search, but it should be very relevant as well. And we have Yeti. Okay, so this, I mean, you can go deeper, much deeper than that. However, I just want to give you an idea of what to look at. So we can see they are sending people to the category page, pretty standard approach for their branded traffic. Registered today for Chili's SEO brand. So what is that? If you already have a SEO brand account. Okay, that's an initiative that if we want to compete with them, we probably should have as well. So if I understand that correctly, if you have a brand, you can collaborate with them, something like that. So yeah, that kind of ideas you can get from them. You can see what is the first line of the product is pretty important because it gives you an idea of how expensive or not the other products should be. It establishes the expectations for other products. So you can see the pricing is from 30 to 40 and the sizes 340 up to 500 millimeters. However, the default one is the smaller one. I believe, yes, the price is lower. So you also need to be aware of where is there is a price point which your customer is not really willing to pay. And I believe if they are the brand, the one of the market leaders, they probably know that £30 is something what people are willing to pay. However, if they go up to 37. The click-through rate, not click-through rate, but the navigation, the bounce rate would increase. Basically, people, when they see that price, it might be a little too high and they just jump off. So pricing is what we are looking at, products, product categories, and anything that may help us get a better conversion rate. And probably there is also a reason, probably they A/B tested landing pages, and there is a reason why they are not sending people to the homepage, but instead they send them directly to the category page. I mean, Chili's, as far as I am aware, I didn't even know they have like Clattery. So maybe that's why people know them, because of marks. So they are not even trying to. They expect that when somebody is looking for chilies, they're probably looking for marks. So also interesting spot. All the other products where they expanded, it's also worth looking into, because that would be a potential way to expand further. Stanley, the same approach, and they have way more colors. That's something what Chili's doesn't do. Customizable, interesting. You can see that the prices are different, but actually not that different. You can see the first four products, they could actually compete with Chili's, even though when we were looking at the ads, their prices were much higher. So that's an interesting spot. Also, new arrival, not buttons, labels. That's interesting. The sizes are pretty much the same. So again, pretty useful insight. They are showing stars as well, which Chili's doesn't do, I think. I haven't seen it. So again, that's something we should look into. Moon. Okay. Wait, so all of these are a mix of ads and organic listings, right? And that, I think that was an organic listing, and it sent us directly to the product page, which is another thing to look at, right? Because we have the category page. However, if you jump to the product page, we want to make sure that we are not missing out anything that may be the primary brands, the market leaders, such as probably Stanley, and do. So like all these guarantees, upsells, cross sells, maybe the designs and the variety of colors. That would be something to look at. I can see they do wholesale, so that's another incentive. And the same for Yeti. Okay, they have the same. I thought they are sending people to the homepage, but not. They are sending people to the category page as well. Prices, you can see, quite similar. Lots of reviews. That's interesting. And the pricing is not really that much far away from Stanley. Super interesting. So that's what you are looking for amongst competitors. And now if we jump to our page, which would be probably category page, would be, let's do tumblers. Okay, that's not the best landing page. Maybe thermal max. Okay, a little better, but you can see they have no pricing here, which everyone else has. That's the first thing. No labels like new arrivals or anything like Stanley does. They are not customizable, but that's probably a business level decision. I mean, that one, definitely we could test a couple of things that we saw amongst our competitors. However, the primary thing is to ensure that we are getting some conversions from organic traffic before we start running any ads. Because if you send 1,000 people more a day where you have to pay for every visit, make sure that the offer is right. And that's the main thing we are trying to find here. And even we are trying to get an advantage. We are trying to stand out. We are trying to show that we are somehow better. So I think that could be slightly improved, or at least A/B tested. Obviously not now because it's Christmas, so not really time to do some testing. However, we saw that the demand is decreasing over middle of the year, so that will be probably the best time to test. Okay, so if I was to do it, I would take like properly. We could probably create another section in our spreadsheet and annotate all the enhancements that we saw across competitor websites. Then obviously the spreadsheet is like a raw format for us just to quickly make notes, an easy way to annotate everything. However, if you want to present it to directors, CEOs, or whoever, create a proper presentation, just copy paste, put some design on the slides, and that's how you can do it. That's a raw version. You probably wouldn't show it this way to the customer. Multiply potential search volume times average CPCs. That is something what we have done already, right here. So we multiplied potential searches by, we added a click-through rate because we will not get traffic from all the searches. It's an auction-based system. That's how Google Ads and other advertising platforms work. So we will only get a percentage of that traffic. And we estimated the cost. Again, it's a very limited version. You need to expand your keywords list. However, yeah, that gives you an idea of where we can get to. So the step number 4 has been already done. Now, cross-check with brand goals and current KPIs. 3 primary KPIs: sessions, average order value, and click-through rate. And yeah, you need to get those from their backend, your backend, Shopify backend, whatever platform you are using. We are talking here about the e-commerce store. However, a similar story, similar methodology we would have to follow for a SaaS business or a lead gen business. We need to know how much each customer is worth. Okay, so I have done it actually. What needs to happen to hit customer goals, right? Reverse math. And then you can answer the question whether it is achievable or not. So imagine I am coming to you, I am making, let's say, 25K a month, and I'm telling you, listen, I can spend 20K. However, I want to get to 100K a month in sales. So now what we do, we calculate what needs to happen to get to that goal. In that example, let's say that's the current state. As I mentioned before, I am the brand owner, so I know how many sessions we had last month, let's say, what the average order value was, and conversion rate. Now, based on these 3, I can calculate how much each session is worth for me. So you multiply sessions times conversion rate, and this way you can tell how much each session is worth for you, right? D21, so sorry, not sessions, average order value times conversion rate tells us how much each session is worth. Then based on the sessions and conversion rate, you can calculate how many orders there were, and now you can get to sales as well. So orders times average order value or average customer value, you can tell how much we had in sales, in revenue, profits. Now we need to calculate our goal. So let's say, again, average order value stays the same, conversion rate stays the same. So now there are a few levers we can pull, right? If any of these 3 KPIs improves, so conversion rate is the percentage of people that do what we want on the website. In that case, an e-commerce store, it's a percentage of people that buy something. So 3%. Out of 100 visits, 3 people will place the order. The order is worth around $75. So that gives us $2.25 per session. Assuming these two stay exactly the same, they don't stay exactly the same, which means the revenue slash profit per session remains exactly the same. You can calculate how many sessions you need to get to 100K. So as you can see here, you divide 100K by revenue per session, and that gives you number of sessions that you need to get to. So we can say 1 clicks equals 1 session. Based on the numbers here, you can tell if we are able to get to this number and how quickly are we able to get to this number. In our case, as we have calculated, 1600 clicks, that would be the cost. Again, the keywords list is very limited, but if I was to tell only based on these keywords, that number, which is an extra 31,000 sessions, doesn't seem very achievable. So either we expand the keywords list, or we might need to think about activating other channels as well. However, that's how you get to these numbers. So in our scenario, probably the 30,000 would be achievable because we have not included many products. We have only focused on few biggest keywords. So I think if we were to expand our keywords list, the 30,000 should be achievable. Again, we only gave it a budget of $1,400, which is like super low. It would be probably like 20 times more at least. So that number probably would be 20 times higher as well. So we haven't done an amazing job. However, I just wanted to show you the methodology behind it. So now, again, going through all these steps, just to summarize quickly, what you do to plan Google Ads budget and at the same time get you a proper insights about your market, competitors, and anything else that may impact your campaigns. We check what is the market opportunity, and we check what is our branded traffic doing as well, whether it's growing, whether it is decreasing, and what is the cost of it. That's actually the second step. What is the cost for new customer acquisition and remarketing slash brand protection? We have to check what other brands are doing and make sure that we are competitive. Our offer is competitive. From this point, we can get some extra insights on how to expand our brand, what other brands do to expand their product offer, and whether they are very successful with it. You can also tell. That's it. Now you can kind of roughly calculate what is the cost for a specific number of clicks, and then based on that data you can tell whether the goals you've given your brand are achievable. And then you do the reverse math and you calculate what needs to happen to get you the expected results, right? And you can, based on that, you can tell how much you need to spend. So in our case, 31,000 new sessions, and we take 1 click as 1 session. The average cost per click is, what is it? 0.84. So imagine 0.84. That's more like a proper budget, around 25K to get those extra 30,000 sessions. Again, assuming that average order value remains the same, conversion rate remains the same. So if you were to start campaign and try to reach those KPIs, make sure that you monitor these 3 KPIs pretty much daily. And if any of them decreases or improves, your job becomes easier to reach that goal. Decreases, way harder. You need more sessions. So that's it pretty much. And if you follow this methodology, you will have a better idea of how much you can pay, what's the market condition, what you can achieve, and whether your goals are achievable. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message. If not, I would appreciate a comment. Yeah, and wait for the next videos.